Turn that on. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, boys and girls, boys and girls. Hope everybody had a good weekend. So, moral of today's story is the market's in a buy signal. Has been since the early morning hours. We haven't reversed the buy move. We did one little break of the level, but that instantly reversed today. So, hindsight 2020, the perfect analysis so far into the day would be a pullback to long bias the market. That would have been your overall best pick of analysis and direction in the market and how you should have been focused on it. All said and done. Well, till now. For me and our group and Brandon this morning, we first looked for a short, which then hit target. It took a while. It was a little challenging. We didn't get as far as maybe we would have hoped for on the sell move, but ultimately we did hit our first pullback targets and then ultimately flipped back to long. But there was definitely a little confusion kind of leading into this morning. We're still getting the same old, a lot of what we're seeing today in these markets is, you'll get some QQQ and SPY divergence. So, for right now, we are seeing markets consistently have divergence, which always adds a little confusion. Sometimes the VIX isn't totally making sense of the market, even though today it's not a big deal. Today was basically pull back to long. And the market's in a buying operation. So I would say that should pretty much have been your thesis since the morning. A lot of times that's not entirely true. But yeah, so it was pull back to long day. Your SOXL finally came out to play. I could take a look at that in a little bit. So yeah, hopefully you guys are on pullback to long scenario today. We'll get into it. But, it generally, to put it just always really starts with the same thing. All right, so if we transition this chart here to, that's a QQQ. I'm like, some don't look right here. We'll transition this to the SPY or SPX for that matter. We'll take this off for now. So right there, I know it doesn't look like much, but as soon as the market's over the yellow line, you're supposed to watch long bias. If we get below it, and then obviously do lower highs below it, maintain trend down, then you can remain bearish. But for now, it's just long bias market. So the title should be there: stock market and buying operation, mini pump. Mini pump just, because the buying operation just started this morning. So it's just a mini pump so far. Nothing too dramatic. That's pretty much it. We can go into the regular trade or extended trading hours chart here real fast on SPY. Let's take off these old drawings. Here we go. So we're going to go into the extended trading hours. That's fine. That's good. All right, so you can see where that yellow line's at, and just pretty much once you're over that, the market's bullish. So the only thing you can look for if you're short bias is pullbacks to that specific level, and then if you get below it and maintain below it, then you can see the short kind of continue, which is very similar to. And actually, let's do that. Let's look at we're gonna look at Friday session. So on Friday, if we zoom in, you can see Friday session, our over-under point is right here at $605.80. Today it was around, 605. It's actually a little, 605.50. So we'll change the color real quick. So Friday's level will be red. There you go. Today's level would be yellow. And if we get back into an extended trading hours chart, there you go. We'll even flip this to, say, a 1 minute. So if we look at Friday session, right, it really would be the same story as Friday session. It's almost the exact same trade concept. One just holds support, the other gets a breakdown. So on Friday, we are in a long move and we reset the market back down to the red line. In that case, that would just be the 50 SMA. Okay. We don't hold support, we break down, and then the market gets acceptance below and sells off. All right. today, it's once the market's over the yellow line. So it's no longer the red line, but in this case, it'd be over the yellow line. All right. So once the market gets over the yellow, that's where we're starting a long move. All right. So market tests yellow, breaks over yellow, back test, and long. All right. Same thing as Friday. We reset the market back down to essentially the yellow, but there is no breakdown in hold below. Therefore, it just remains into a long. Okay. So ultimately, all that's happened today is simply the market entered a long operation this morning pre-market. We then pulled the market back into the open to test the over-under support, resulting in a support hold, no continuation of selling. And that's all. That's about as simple as you can make it. Of course, alongside of that, there's a bunch of other things that we look at, but to keep things simple, that's all we've seen today is just a long over the 50 SMA, a back test to long. And now the way that you can involve yourself is you could have been long over the 50 SMA in pre-market, captured a long up. You could have then figured out the market should pull back, and then you could have participated like we started on the day with recommending a short back down to the yellow line. And then if for whatever reason you thought it wasn't going to break down, you could have participated on the long, which would be the back test of support and then long, right? And, and then there's another one, and there's another one. And then hindsight, it's just back test along with 2 dips there, 1, 2, all right? So being in a buying operation so far today has really just resulted in a long press, a shortable back test, a longable support, and then arguably another shortable back test and a longable support. It's a couple different moves in there, but again, all it really comes down to is just a long and then a back test. Back to long. All right. Anybody got a question on that? Probably not. You guys don't really ever have questions, and that's because, you guys already know. So today it was simply just market back test long. All right. Moving over to the SPX. All right. So today, again, open up with the gap up. So as long as the market, and this is, it's a little different on SPX. The levels are a little different, but right here, I will just add some text. All right, so that yellow line there on SPX, that's the 50 SMA support over under. So you guys know as well, you guys may not know as well as I do, but you guys know pretty well that whenever you open up with a gap up, again, our first things are going to be watching the gap and go target. Today, it was actually a little different than that. We didn't really mention the gap and go target, but again, if there's a gap, that's what I'm always doing, right? So even though I may not mention it, you always got to watch that too. So we were looking for a short move, basically down into these areas, but our first target short was the yellow line. So ultimately, what happens is we start into the morning, into pre-market, we go down to target. Market holds support and bounces, never breaks support, therefore market just holds and rallies out the gap to the 161 target. Same thing with SPY. If I flip this into a regular trading hours chart, it's the same thing. Ultimately, we get the short move down to the yellow, which would be target, and the market does not break down the yellow, go into a sell signal, holds 50% retrace, golden pocket, and then what? Rallies out to the 161 gap target, and that's where you're getting your high day resistance. Again, it's almost the same exact story every single day sometimes. It's when there's a gap and the gap works, which is just ultimately we have a gap up, market's in a buy signal, doesn't break down, continuation up, we get the overnight impulse extension level. And so now we've completed the gap target for the day, and that's pretty much it. Market's in a buy signal. So until we go into a sell move, you don't have the start of a new move. The only thing you really have is just continuation opportunity, and that's it. Or market goes into a sell move. Something that's interesting today is we do have the VIX, which is positive on the day. So it's positive on the day, and it's been positive for the past maybe like day or so. So it is interesting that the market's in this little forced up mini pump, but we do have a buy signal on the VIX. Trump is talking right now, so I'm not sure if they're just increasing the VIX because he's talking, similar to what they'll do with like Jerome Powell when Jay Powell, money printer, the boy, comes out or is expected to come out. A lot of times they will just increase volatility due to that because it could create volatility. So since markets are forward looking and there's an event like Jay Powell, money printer, the boy, getting ready to speak, he could say something that triggers the market. So markets are forward looking, knowing that Jay Powell could say something that could trigger markets, then volatility markets will just naturally increase prior to such event, even though it may not end up resulting in much. Markets are prepping and preparing for the potential, hence forward looking. All right. So, yep. Great stream. Alrighty, as you can see, Bitcoin targets there on the screen are 135 to 150,000. I think I posted a Twitter today. I think it said it was 130 to 145. I'm just already planning for next week. Next week, the targets would increase by 5,000 anyway. So the reality is the targets are 130,000 to 145,000 right now. I'm just forward looking, I guess you could say, another week out, which means they're going to be 135,000 to 150,000, and every week so on and so forth. It's going to continue to repeat like that until we hit the targets, or until the market just magically tops on its own. So until we get, again, like I said, into my opinion, a euphoric market on Bitcoin, get to statistically way overbought levels, the market just isn't really going to have a top. Or until the timeline of our cycle comes to. So it's either it's essentially long target first, then we get to the timeline cycle, and then the market tops, or we just never go up to those targets, which I don't think is going to happen. But that would be kind of the flip side. And then the timing of the bull run just kind of ends. So when we first started announcing the Bitcoin long targets for kind of the euphoric breakout and move, I was trying to backtrack on Twitter, but I think they started at 105,000 and went to like 115, and then obviously we go from 110 to 120, 25, and 115 to 125, 130, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're to the point where it's 130 to 145. So in the sense that market has already reached what were previous targets, but they're not really the targets because the targets update. So those prices have already kind of started coming close to, but that's kind of irrelevant because that's what they were based off of what the volatility structure was then. Now the volatility structure is up to, again, 130 to 145,000, and next week it's 135 to 150. Then the following week it's going to be 140 to 155, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until it's reached, which still may not even top the market. That's the other kind of crazy thing is even that still may not top the Bitcoin market. And it may just create a false temporary top, suck in short sellers, blow them up again, and then we top. So essentially, as soon as we start getting into close to, leading into March of next year, that's where my tone is probably going to start to shift a bit on Bitcoin. And even that could still be early for a tone shift, but I'm just kind of prepping myself. So probably towards March, I don't, again, you probably won't, tone's not going to change on Bitcoin till minimum March area of next year, even into like October of next year, 2025, right? March. Yeah. So yeah, minimum till we even get into March, really. Tone's not going to change there. So I was kind of hoping that we would actually go up and get the targets we're looking at before March. I feel like that could make sense. I feel like getting into the 130, 140, 150s is doable into March. Then maybe we might use March as a pullback, then set up a secondary squeeze, and then top the markets leading in more towards the end of 2025. That would be a cool scenario. So, yeah, for what it's worth, just still long bias Bitcoin, 130s, 145s. Until there's a reason for us to top this market, I just don't really see the momentum slowing down. So if there's signals that change, we'll see. But for the time being, momentum is fine. We're not statistically overbought. Momentum is on the buy side. Yeah, you could say RSI in some areas. Actually, let me double check that. I mean, you could argue maybe there's some, the relative strength is kind of overbought in some situations. I mean, right now the daily RSI is 70. So what? The 6-month RSI is like 68. So what? The weekly RSI is at 78. That's getting up there a bit. That being said, we have seen many instances where relative strength index trades high for a while. So we are slightly getting up there when you think of terms of relative strength index, but that can always cool off and reset, just as we saw. And actually, let me bring it up here. Your birthday's last week. You turned 14. Well, welcome, brother. Welcome. Kudos to you for taking interest in this world. Number one recommendation would be do not open a trading account, because you're not even supposed to. So, yeah. And continue studying and continue learning until you turn an adult. Alrighty. So, moving into, what was I saying? I don't even know. Oh, yeah, relative strength index stuff. So, looking at the relative strength index. So, you can see here, just last week. So, you see this last little mini, whatever you want to call that on Bitcoin, right? It hit an RSI of 80, and then it came down, right? Reset down to like the 60s, just consolidated, and now we're moving higher. So, there's, so RSI can go high, then cool off, and then we can just move higher. So just because an RSI moves into an overbought spice, that's smart choice there if you're paper trading too, at least. So RSI can move into hot spaces and then cool off and just keep going higher. So that's RSI will never be like the greatest truly dictator of market tops or market bottoms, because it can always get bought up, cool off, keep going. But immediate stuff, yeah, it can signal that maybe some things might be a little over hot. And so, but anyways, so that's that. Looking at the momentum, same jam here. I mean, momentum for the daily scale is on the upside, right? So if we look at the zero line, I mean, momentum from here, vertical line, is all on the positive side of trend, not on the negative side, which would be the lower half. Again, your daily momentum. So this last little pullback was not accompanied by very strong selling to begin with. All right, moving into, say, even the weekly. So again, same situation with the weekly in the sense that the momentum is on the positive side. We are not on the negative side. We're currently in a buy wave on the weekly. Does that last for forever? No, it won't. Does that mean its momentum says that we're just going to go higher? No, not necessarily. It just, again, momentum is currently not on the sell side of Bitcoin. All right. There is something that I do like to use on TradingView, and I will bring that up here. All right, so if we take a look here, you should be seeing, yep, there it is. All right, yeah, take a look here. Bitcoin weekly. Again, same story here. As far this is more of a longer term cycle momentum analysis, if you may. So we know that and it's not that it's not that this spectrogram and momentum and cycle down here that we're looking at is going to be perfect for timing. That's not what we're looking for. We're really just looking, this is a weekly scale, so on and so forth. But, gist of it is we know that based off of past, and the past doesn't always repeat perfectly, but it's that right here, I will show you, right about here, where we kind of start to transition color from, oh, you can't see that, hold on, control, oh, I'm a little mini pump that guy, cool. Let me zoom in some, maybe that'll help. Either way, so it's right here, I'll just point to it. Oh, you can't really see that very well either. Why is this not working? It should work. There it is, Alt-V. So obviously this is the top, and the weekly spectrogram starts to turn bearish here. Though it doesn't predict the top, it pretty much gives us most of when that market stays downsided. So and even here, if I move this vertical line over from the last market top cycle where we start to see the spectrogram go purple, shift purple. So right now we're on the green side and we're on the upswing. So, this isn't going to mark the top, but it will kind of identify when obviously the market's more into the weakness side of things. So we're not looking at this spectrogram to top the market. We're looking as that secondary confirmation, like after the market probably tops and then this shifts purple where it can be like, yeah, just you don't expect much upside, probably pop to short market, continuation type jazz. So it's just another secondary metric that we'll use there. And we're on the positive side. So again, this isn't going to, you can't use this and be like, oh, the top's coming, right? That's not how this is going to work. This is what's going to happen is the market's going to get selling momentum enough so that it transitions us from green to negative or purple on this system. So a top will have to be put in first before you get that. But after you get it and you come onto the stream, I'll say, hey guys, the market's purple, so pretty much, yeah, just don't expect anything cool, right? But until that happens, it hasn't happened, and we're not looking at this for a forward-looking metric. It's more of a lagging but secondary confirmation metric. Are you well? Why are you always so tired? I wouldn't say I'm always so tired. I would say I'm pretty peppy here. Yeah. I also don't sleep the best to begin with. Never really have. But I would say I'm pretty well. Not as healthy as I could be. Should get back to working out a little bit more. I've been very lackluster on that the past 2 months, which is not so good. Yeah, but I would say most of it is just I just don't really sleep that well. And then I do like a nap, but I usually don't take naps either because I feel kind of bad that I'm wasting the day. So then I never really nap either, so. Yep, that's that. So, cheers. Hope that all made sense. There isn't a whole lot. I mean, that's literally the entire market today. That's the funny thing. I can keep going into more detail, but that's pretty much the market for today, guys. We could go back, take a peek at SPY. Probably just retrace. Yeah, it looks like we're just retracing a few levels as per usual. As per usual. Do 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 do. This guy to this guy. We've done the 1 minute, so now we transition to the 5 minute. Yup. As per usual. As per usual. Yeah, so, the last thing, I would say the last thing that, well, not the last thing, but in private stream today, after this long press, The recommendation on the SPY was pretty much you're looking for a back test here, then there will be a long attempt, which it was very lackluster, not much, and then obviously after we do the back test on the 1 minute, we're going to transition to the 5 minutes, so then you look for your next back test down to here, which is the 5 minute, and if whatever holds support, sure, then that's your 5 minute long support, and then that's pretty much it. And that was the last thing we kind of left with. Yeah. The other thing too is that oh, did we get that target? I think we did. Not quite. Yeah, we're looking at the VIX here. Oh, I don't need to do that anymore because I can just bam. Wait. That doesn't make sense. Should be right there. Yeah, so we're on the VIX now. Again, pretty simple stuff. The VIX is in a buy move today, which generally would say that the market isn't extremely bullish, which it hasn't really been that extremely bullish. It's moved decent, though. But again, I think this is just a scenario where we know that maybe Trump's coming out today, so just the market's just pressing up volatility for that reason, and so on and so forth. So I feel like the VIX is really the one that's kind of lying for the moment. It's not the market. I feel like it's really the VIX today. But still, as the story goes, you know, we'll see. No, I mean, it's really just that. VIX is up. Trump's talking today. Maybe says something that spooks the market. If he does, whatever. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. It's just the VIX. That's just what the VIX is saying, most likely. Again, there's your pop on the market. It's the 5 minute reset, pretty common stuff. And because you guys are on stream, probably buying what I'm saying. So you guys are also making those things happen. But either way, pretty common there. No big deal. Yeah, we could take a look at NVIDIA. 1 second. Is it changed? Nope. So NVIDIA's been on the sell side since Friday. Well, it was on the buy side Thursday of last week, late afternoon, then entered sell side into Friday morning. So we're really just on the sell side of Bitcoin, and when it transitions back to positive, you'll see some long bias movement, which would be here. So right now, we're not really looking for a transition to long side until right now NVIDIA is over the price of 136, and that's probably going to change. Every new 30-minute candle that comes, that price can change, so that's what it is right now. But for the, it's not even that. It's 136.10. So until the market's over $136.10, which is right here, we're not focused on long. Unless you want to buy an oversold bounce, then, you know, by all means, right? If you're looking for an oversold, whether it be a 1 minute, 5 minute oversold, intraday scalp long bounce, absolutely feel free. If you're looking for long bias transition momentum upside, that doesn't happen until $136. And that's, yeah, I mean, we could look into some other stuff there, but I mean, that's all. I don't want to say it's irrelevant. It's just not. I mean, is it overbought? Maybe. But I'm just going to stick to some of the simple stuff, you know, on these quick ones with NVIDIA, which would just basically be, you know, until the market is positive, it's not, and you're on the bear side there. Speaking of J&J. See, like with J&J today too. See, J&J is one that I kind of watched for a second to see if we were going to transition positive. These are just some big name tickers that I always follow. You simply cannot follow every single stock in the market. It's just not going to be possible. Obviously, you can have scanners and things like that. I still haven't figured out a good way to scan for this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not the best scanner builder, but it seems like whenever I try to build a scanner for this system, it just never seems to be right. I can't say I've also spent a ton of time trying, but I spent, you know, a decent amount. So like J&J was one I was watching. I'm like, is this thing gonna break and get positive today? And sure enough, no. It really, and actually, it was kind of dumb that I even thought that, because really this would be first attempt. So actually, yeah, I made a mistake. But I was watching earlier, see if we would get some positivity on J&J as we came into 147. But really, what it just resulted in was the confirmation of a downtrend. So we came up, broke it a little bit, down, lower high below, and down, right? And so that would really just be, oh, sorry, back to regular hours. That really is just the continuation of that downtrend, right? So I was looking for maybe some transition positive on this guy, or does it stay negative? And I just didn't participate that way. But yeah, that would be, again, market below 50. Back test, see if it would hold over. Maybe we transition positive with the market going up a little bit today. Nope, just stays down. So just tell me J&J is just not ready for a long there. So that was one that I was watching potentially. Honeywell was another one that I was watching, but it just moved way too fast this morning, and I was looking at the SPY and some other things. But Honeywell is, again, this morning. Actually, I mapped it off, I think, last week, and it just blew up. But you can see today Honeywell got its long breakout on the 50 SMA. And again, remember, algorithms are pretty much who control the market, especially around like SMAs like this. So, it's not going to be the easiest thing, but you can see here, same jam. You got Honeywell, the 50 SMA. It depends on how you map it off, but the 50 SMA was priced right here in between these red and yellow levels. Go to the extended hours. Where's your breakout? It's right there. So, one may look at this chart and go, there's no price action there. There's nothing there that would convince me the price would do this. So how would I know that by looking here the price was going to go all the way, or like, this big breakout like that? You don't. You had no idea that Honeywell was, for whatever reason, going to break up that much, or maybe, I don't even know if there's news with it. I'm not even paying attention. I'm just looking at the levels. But that's where an uptrend starts at. So you do know that. This is where uptrend can start. And so someone may go like, oh, this was an inverse head and shoulders play. True, but the inverse head and shoulders doesn't break out until it breaks out or goes into an uptrend, and that's there. Right, so yeah, so that was the one that I was watching, but it was just too fast. And that, again, this is what happens with stocks. A lot of times they're significantly more volatile. We did cover Tesla and talked about it getting up, I don't know, 500s or 490s, something like that. And then you're probably going to watch Tesla bearish. So, when Tesla gets up to where we're getting there, still have some more to go. Tesla, I even see Tesla into like 499, maybe even 570s. Where's the weekly? Or was that the week? It was the weekly. So we just hit the daily. So 512s. Yeah, we still have higher on Tesla, I think. PLTR is probably gonna, well, I already know what PLTR looks like. I just don't know exactly. It's just up, unless it pulled back, but I don't think it did. But I know that it's getting a little hypey. Yeah, I mean, PLTR is up. I wouldn't necessarily say it hasn't really entered a euphoric market. Not all markets have to hit euphoria, but yeah, I mean, I don't have the greatest, I haven't followed this one, but Yeah, it's trading plus. I mean, you're definitely not buying it at a fair value trend over the past year. If you just look at the last 1 year action right now, you're buying it at a 2x multiple, or well, more like a 1.5x multiple of trend. If you were buying PLTR down here, and these change a little bit, so I can't say it's for sure this, but if you were buying it down in this range, you would have been buying the market below fair value. If fair value is the white trend, and you started taking on ownership of shares here on PLTR below the white trend, you would have been picking them up on sale. If you're buying it here, you're essentially buying it not on sale, and that's probably what I would just say there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, that's not it. Trend. What about trend? PLTR is on over under trend support right now. So if you zoom in, PLTR went through, it kind of went through some consolidation where it could not get a solid trend above or below 50 SMA, and we just kind of been chopping, right? Which can happen a lot of times after a top action, which you kind of got here. But you're pretty much just on over-under trend. So if you wanted to be long bias, this would be better than getting long bias here on the day or anywhere here on the day. You at least be getting long bias on an over-under. But again, that's always the game you're going to play. Just like yesterday. Let's just double check. Yeah, so you see, well, yesterday was a little lower. So you see yesterday. See how yesterday we broke, or that was Friday, but Friday we broke up, pulled back. There's the 50 SMA. So on Friday of last week, this would have been a back test of 50 SMA support and long. So this would have been a back test of support. So right now, what have we done today? We have pulled back, failed to initially hold support, failed to get a sell below with continuation, bounce back, pull back, hold, pull back, hold, pull back, hold. So that's really just it. You're just right on support right now, which means obviously if support fails, then you don't have much to really wait for a support fail. So in the sense that you're limited risk on the long, because if the long fails, then your stop out's not very far away. Flip side of that is, it's not a first attempt. You're consolidating. Why haven't you already blasted off? Why was there such a big sell earlier? If you wanted to be short, then you're going to need a breakdown and a back test and so on and so forth. So in the immediate, you're basically on the over-under. And when we say over-under, it pretty much is just that. You can be bullish above and bearish below. Or that's just the way you have to view it, right? So you're bullish above, bearish below. So from this morning, we've had, someone buy this low, they bought this dip, they bought this dip, they bought this dip, and they've failed to run the market away from that support for the time being. Does that change? We'll see. Do we go into a sell move? Maybe, right? Again, that's all stuff you can decide for yourself if you want to trade PLTR. But you, again, are on the over-under point in the short term. So, again, do be mindful. Right? Down below can be a breakdown, so on and so forth, which I will show you the last breakdown real quick too. So let's go to here. So, I mean, we could look at here. I mean, we could look at all of these, but we'll first start with this one, and then we'll go to this one. Properties, I'm going to change this to red, pink. So we're going to go back just a little bit to, it had been here. Well, kind of, yeah, we'll do a 5 minute, that's fine. So here were two kind of like little breakdowns that kind of had some action on the intra. So this day you flirted with it here and then you broke away from it. You got a nice move. And then on this day you came down, back tested, bounced, came down, broke right there, and then that's where you got that triggered sell move. So there's your breakdown, and then there's your sell move, which actually extends into the next day with another back test and then down. Okay. And then you go forward, get into a long, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I would say with PLTR. You're not at a really great spot this morning, I actually kind of think. Just because the market's been in consolidation, so it makes the over-under a little tricky. It's not like you're coming off a really oversold move. You're not coming off a super extended move, so it gets a little iffy. NVIDIA, again, long bias. I would watch an NVIDIA long bias when the trend turns to positive in the short term. Long term, I think it's still up. Well, it probably is, but yeah. AMD, same thing as NVIDIA. When AMD turns back to positive, you can watch long bias. AMD is pretty much the same scenario as Netflix this morning. I already have it mapped off. It probably changed a little bit, but yeah. Until NVIDIA gets back, until AMD gets back into a positive trend, it's just oversold bounces for the moment. Same thing with the NVIDIA. You can see here, NVIDIA's on the negative side of trend. So until we get NVIDIA back to positive trend, you're bearish or count. That's the thing, is if you're in a bearish trend, you can only trade it two ways: bearish or counter trend long. If you're bullish, then the market's bullish, you can trade it in two ways: buy the dip or counter sell. So yeah, NVIDIA and AMD are both in bearish short-term selling markets, and until those turn positive, you won't watch them long bias. And that's pretty much how that's probably the main thing I say with a lot of these things, is just you have to, for example, let's say on this day here, I go, yeah, guys, buy the dip. And then what happens? Smacked red the next day. Crushed, right? So that would be putting you into a long trade while in a sell market. Kind of stupid, right? It would be better for me to say on this day here, where the market breaks over the 50 SMA, buy the dip. Because at least you're on the positive side of trend. And then there's your long. Could it fail and could it go lower? Absolutely. Right? But it's better than coming over here, seeing the market's below the 50 in a sell move and saying, yeah, guys, buy this dip, and then whacked. Versus I could tell you to buy the dip on this day when it's over trend. All right. So no, don't be long bias AMD right now. Don't be long bias NVIDIA unless you want to buy a oversold counter long. If you're looking to involve yourself in an uptrend and have momentum favoring the long side, then it's not the time. UPS. UPS got a little positive today. See, something like UPS, this might be okay for a long. We'll see. Stop out's pretty, if you want to watch more bullish here, like this would be better than AMD for the moment, in the sense that at least your trend is favored. Remember, markets can always do what they want. Stocks are volatile, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But again, you have 129.04. All right, that's pretty much the risk of the over-under. But yeah, we dial into a 1 minute. The UPS market, and you can see it, right? I know I might flip on a 30-minute time frame and say, hey, look at this SMA. But do you not visually see that? Right? Look where this is the 50 SMA. You are long over. There's the break, and the algorithms and the market said, you know what, we're going to run it long. There you go. And then where is the over-under? Right there. It's the red line. Where do they pull it back to? Where do they bounce it? Where are they holding it? Over the 50. As long as the market maintains here, the long is okay, right? If we start to break down, then it's like, damn, right? And, there's multiple stocks that do this all day long. So I mean, even if you look at this long press, it's only, from here to there, it's 129.05 to 130.23. So there was like a dollar and some change on that long press from the breakout. And then also do remember that algorithms can, when I say algorithms, we'll just rephrase that. They're high frequency trading machines, right? Computers that trade markets, right? They can look at SMA calculations on multiple hundreds and thousands of stocks simultaneously, while you might be able to look at a handful. And the handful that you're looking at are probably not going to be the best pick out of all the different potential uptrend breakout starts that are happening on any given day, right? So, like I said, I was actually trying to build a scanner the other day to better represent this, but I just haven't come across something that I think is great yet. So still in the process there. But anyways, yeah. So the uptrend start here happened on UPS this morning, 9:35 in the morning. So this is more on the positive side of trend. So this is a situation where if you were, the safer, how do I say this? I don't want to say the safer way. The limited risk way to involve yourself on this would obviously have been buying literally the breakout, because then you have the best entry, or you would have bought this dip or this dip, right? That would have been your best possible entries from the uptrend start. Regardless of the uptrend start, best possible entries on the long there with UPS, your risk would be this, right? So the risk, what I would say the risk is, well, if the long doesn't work, then when does it fail? The fail of the long would be the market getting below 129. So any computer high frequency trade that gets long because the market's positive over the 30-minute 50 SMA had, this move up and the long fails below the 50 SMA. Now, obviously, things can kind of flirt above and below and cause some chop and so on and so forth. I'm sorry. I messed that up bad. I should be on TradingView. I forgot to change it back to TradingView. No wonder why. That was my apologies, guys. I'm an idiot. I was going over all of that and not showing you anything, but my bad. Either way, all we're looking at here is UPS, and this is pretty much it. So you can see this market got long bias over the 50 SMA. Let me flip it back, because this is relatively, good stuff. No wonder why everyone's like, this guy's an idiot. Yeah, well, you live and you learn. So, as we were saying before, UPS back on the positive side this morning, all right? This flipped into a long breakout here at about 128.99. There's a 50 SMA. You can transition this into a 1 minute, and there you have it. You can see it's clear as day. This right here is the 50 SMA, and there's your breakout. And then this is your back test. And there's your bounce. And that's the market staying positive over the 50 SMA today. So something with UPS, there's really a couple ways you could look at this. If you're stingy and you don't want to accept really any risk of the breakout, then you would, you'd be long bias UPS, and you would be stop. That's it. I mean, regardless of where you get long on any market, your stop would have to be where the market can transition bearish. So for me, the market would transition bearish below the 50 SMA. So if I were to buy a long right now, which would be, it doesn't matter where the target's at. If I were to buy a long right now, this is what the risk is. Minimum, it's down to 129. So there's 48 cents per dollar of risk on this market. At least to the level at which the market could transition to legitimate bearish momentum. All right, bearish momentum could start well ahead of that, but that's just kind of that transition point. So minimum, if you're long UPS, you have 48 cents of risk, right? And now you're like, well, does it go back there? Does it? Well, think about this guy here that bought this top, right? He does not know where that 50 SMA is at. He would be buying here, and not know that his risk from that long entry would be down to at least minimum. How is that even possible? That doesn't make any sense. Because how is that? Hold up. I must be tripping. Yeah. There we go. That would be 92 cents. So if some dude, actually wrong from where I really pointed, but if some dude bought this top up here, it could have kept going. Market didn't have to pull all the way back down to the 50 SMA. But the notion that it can, because that's where the trend can stay positive. Obviously, if that's a breakout, there could be a back test. So if you're bought long up here, you'd have to say there's at least 92 cents of risk down before the market could just be like, oh, bounce, and no, we're going to stay positive and keep going, right? So now that's without really taking. I would say there's still risk you're taking, but there's not a lot of room for some tomfoolery, right? And what I mean by tomfoolery is we see many times where a market could backtest support, go a little below, and then still get picked up, right? So if you consider the tomfoolery, then where would a secondary stop be, right? So the next would be at the previous low swing before the breakout. So then you would go down to here, right? Where is like the most recent low, higher low that caused the breakout, and that would be down to like right here, right? So yeah, if you bought all the way up here, that would be a lot of risk to take on, especially with the big position. Now, if you're a computer and you're in an algorithm that's buying in right at the change, I mean, it's not too bad, right? So that's what you have to keep in mind, right? If you're looking at that's right there is great way for stops, for so limited risk to taking on a little more risk for some tomfoolery not to shake you out. And then from here you could even, you don't have to go to the most recent low. You could pick something else below the 50 SMA that you think is valid. Sometimes I will use like a 10 SMA where the uptrend starts on the 10 SMA. So you could use this as a good spot. All right, so you see how the market's positive over here. So instead of going to, say, the most recent low, you could look at where is the most recent positive breakup on like a 10 SMA trend, and that would be right there. You can use a multiple different stuff there. So yeah, that's good stuff. So anyways, UPS, that's positive. That's one way you could view that market. It's really how you should view that market. Yeah. Out of curiosity, though, let's see what are some of today's biggest gainers. So like if we go, this is always a good one too. You can go like biggest gainers, and even though this is kind of hindsight, you have to be looking at the biggest gainers at the time. I wasn't doing this morning. I was looking at markets because it's normally where we're focused. But if you're going to be an individual equity player, this is also another good option you can do. One second. What is going on here? Oh, that's why. Okay, let's just hit scan. So the biggest gainers on the day are looks like SIDU, which is a lower, cheaper stock, but so maybe not the best example because it's a penny stock, but out of curiosity, I do kind of want to look at it. So SIDU. Oh, actually, I should just, well, I guess I could. Yeah, maybe I should use that one. It's a little better. Yeah, so we're looking at the stock SIDU is the number one gainer today. So I'm going to flip this over to TOS. No, because then I can't draw on it. I mean, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but I'll just stick with the way I'm doing things. Yeah, because then you can't really draw on it, per se. No, I mean, yeah, if you were going to buy it for 1 year plus, I don't, UPS, sorry, would you put it below 125? I have no idea. $1 year plus. Well, if I was gonna buy it for 1 year plus, I would say probably the first thing that I would at least want to see is it be into a long-term weekly uptrend, because then at least the long term's in my favor. Like right now, you'd be betting against the long-term trend. Right, you can see we're below, trading down in lower low, lower high. And even, so like watch this. So we'll go back a couple of these examples, ready? So I don't know what the dates are here, but let's see. So this would be UPS back here, breaking over the long-term weekly uptrend, and it goes from February to, well, hold on. February of 16 to January of 2017. So almost a year there. All right. So if you want to hold UPS for a year, in this situation it breaks a weekly, it actually trades up for about a year before breaking down. And there's multiple examples where it doesn't break up for a week or whatever. But as far as owning something for a long time, just because you want to own it for a long time still doesn't make it, things are in your favor. So I would say if you want to own something for a while, minimum you'd like to see a weekly uptrend. And even that, I mean, look at this. Pops over the weekly, fails, pops over weekly, fails, pops over weekly, fails. So just because it's over a certain spot doesn't guarantee it's going to be going up. But yeah, and then obviously the timeline for your long has nothing to do with your stop, right? Right? Stop loss at $5 doesn't make your long-term 1 year hold successful. That would really just come based off what you want to keep as your stop. A lot of people don't like to lose more than 10% on a position. They feel if they've lost 10%, then they're wrong anyways. So, I couldn't really say where you should place your stop for a 1 year hold. But the first thing I would say is you want to be into a long-term uptrend for that. A lot of that stuff I was showing you stop-wise is based off short-term and being in a short-term uptrend. Like I would say here, right, if you were to get long on this weekly chart, long-term start, long-term weekly break, and then you would maybe do something like this. So if you get long over the weekly, I don't know where you buy, but let's just say you bought somewhere in these couple of weeks after it breaks up, right? You could maybe go to the most recent low before the weekly start. If that's too far for you, you could go to the most recent weekly higher low just before the start of the uptrend. So that would be something like that. And then I did that backwards because that's a short one. Yeah, it would be this one here. Yeah. All right, so that would be too far because, again, that's like 18% drawdown. Now, if you go to the previous red week just below, that's about 10%. So a lot of times you'll find about a 10% risk on a lot of uptrend starts if you go to the most recent higher low prior to a long start. So that's one way you could do that. But yeah, so again, using previous higher low structure before uptrend starts. So even like this, right? So the uptrend starts right where I click, right? So the uptrend starts there. The most previous red week higher low, that's about 6-7%. If you go to the absolute low, then you got 14%, a little too high. And then again, if the uptrend's going to work, then it should stay over the 50 SMA anyways. So you can think about it like that. You're like, well, is this a good enough stop? It's like, well, if the trade's good enough in the first place, it should maintain into an uptrend to begin with. And you shouldn't even have to worry about your stop, right? So when using uptrend, downtrend levels, like 50 SMA start points, things like that, if the trade's going to work, it's not going into a downtrend, or at least it's going to go up before it, does that, right? So your stop is slightly irrelevant in that regard. But like here, this would be a 6% drawdown, right? And then your trade ends up getting, what does it get? It gets as high as 11%. And actually, you will notice a lot of times that there is about a 1 to 2 risk to reward on a lot of successful, even semi-successful uptrend starts. And like I said, I think it's because algorithms and computers and high frequency trading machines and things like that, and just whatever, that they really run the market. So if we think about, watch this, if we look at the previous low, so we'll map this. This is the previous weekly pullback low right in there. And then we take the absolute high here. And then we measure the risk to reward profile from the uptrend start. And the uptrend start is going to be the midway point of this right there, right where I click. That's exactly where the uptrend starts. Now you're like, well, are we really going to get that? No, retail's not. Computers and HFTs that run the market will. That being said, if we move our stop to about this little red week pullback, that's about 6.8%. And if we take our long all the way up to where it goes, you end up getting a target of 15.79%, which is almost, well, that would be 13. So it's about, well, obviously it's 1.2. It even says right there, I don't even know why I'm calculating myself in my head. I'm a dummy. But I'm like, well, 13.67, yeah, it's 2.48% return, or risk to reward, right? So if you think about where the market ends up topping out and where a logical stop point would be based on a weekly structure, the return is a 1.2 risk to reward profile there. And I find that ends up being the case for a lot of situations too. So even this here, I mean, this one I can already see it ends up hitting and so on and so forth. But yeah, you get the point. So anyways, I'm going to go over to SIDU real quick. I don't even think I really should look at this one. And actually, before I do that, let's look at Bitcoin real quick. Get all this stuff off. Yeah, 107,000. Again, you just sit back and just chill. Just sit back and chill. Let her rippy. Let her skippy. No fearsies. Again, literally until we even get into March, October of next year, should have no fear. Zero. Straight moon pumps. All right. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll look at SID. I mean, I'm really just repeating the same exact process, and it's literally the same process on all stocks. Same process. Ready? So even look at SIDU. Right? SIDU is below the weekly. Yeah, it's probably above the daily. Look at today. Look at SIDU today gets a big mover. It's a big mover. Guess what happened? The daily chart went positive. Right here. I'm gonna map it off. Go into extended hours, or maybe I'm already there. Yeah. So look at right here, that red line. That's where the daily 50 SMA went into an uptrend today. So pre-market today, whatever, SIDU blows up. Breaks out the daily 50 SMA. Daily chart goes into a daily 50 SMA long. The market is really just transitioning uptrends across a bunch of time frames a lot of the time. So, the next one we'd look at is the 30-minute, because the 30-minute's always generally going to be one of those shorter-term, lower-risk start points. So we can go look at SIDU, and you'll see right here is where the 30-minute chart went positive yesterday. And again, whenever a penny stock's going to pump up, there's people that control the market, and they're going to make it move when they want to move it, right? So it's not that, oh, it went over the 30-minute here, so it's guaranteed to go into long. No, what's going to happen is there's going to be a selected amount of stocks that they're going to pump regardless, and obviously those that know what are going to be pumped start buying it ahead of time. Market goes into an uptrend, and blah, 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 goes up, boom, boom. So SIDU started a long move yesterday at, here at $1.34. So if you were looking at the 30-minute chart, right, this would have been your setup. All right, so you would do this. So market is going down, right? So if you were able to catch this, market's going down, it's doing like this, right? And then right here, it breaks over the 30-minute. So the 30-minute goes into an uptrend right there. And if you were trading that 30-minute uptrend and you're an algorithm or a computer, HFT, we'll just say that you got in right at the break point. So you'd be like right here, And then where would your stop go? Your stop would, well, I got to zoom out to get it. Your stop would go just below the 30-minute previous low structure, which would be like, why? I don't know why it's not working. Hold on. Would be about right there. That's pretty much it. So in this case, you'd have, 3.7% risk down for that. And then all of a sudden you wake up the next morning and you got lucky because your penny stock was selected for the pump. So the industry that was going to pump penny stock today threw SIDU on, gave it some news, whatever, and they decided to pump your penny stock. And now you have made a return of a 52.6 to 1 risk to reward ratio because you got lucky and they pumped your penny stock. All right, so now let's actually get into, I'm going to change the price of this and we'll get into some like bigger stocks, not some penny stocks, and we'll look at the biggest gainers because a lot of times some of the biggest gainers will basically have buy moves that start just today, right? If there's going to be a big gain on the day, a lot of times you'll see that there's some uptrends that are just starting on the stock for that day. So we'll take, and it's not always the case, but many times it can be. So we're going to look at WKEY here today. So WKEY, just bigger gainer on the day. This thing went into a long signal way back here. Actually, I'm going to go a little higher than 10. I'm going to do like $20 a share. That way we're not necessarily dealing with these penny things as much. Therapeutic stock, VRDN. All right, so look at that. VRDN started an uptrend today. So VRDN, I changed the scanner to $20 and up. VRDN is at 30% gain today, and voila. I don't know if there was news. There could be some news. I'm not here to look at all that necessarily. But like I said, here's the uptrend start on VRDN today. And it started at 1857. There was pretty much no volume trading there. Again, algorithms run the market, at least the way it appears on TOS. Now, if I looked at, or on TradingView, if I looked at TOS, yeah, so there's really no trading action there. So we just know that for whatever reason, maybe there was probably some news. I don't even know, but they basically just pumped it over $18.63, started an uptrend, and here's your stock. Boom. And what has it done today? It's done the up, higher, low, and that's because here is your uptrend start. All right. What's the next one here? BRDN. Let's see. Is there a... What about this guy? I have no idea what this is, but we'll take a peek. The old Davy. Davy. No, so this one didn't start an uptrend today, but it did on, what was that? Did a couple days ago. So here you can see we had an uptrend start. I could even go back to that specific day. Go extended hours. So the uptrend start happened on Friday of last week here. So ready? That is the market transitioning over the 50 SMA, and then boom. Again, uptrend start, couple days later, up big. And I'm just going to do a quick run through now of all of these just randoms, just to see QMCO. So you can see QMCO started an uptrend today. See that? Again, whenever you see it flirting over this like that, that was an uptrend start. QMCO today. EWTX started an uptrend today. So look at this. Ready? EWTX. Here's an uptrend start right there. Boom. That happened today. BTDR. That started an uptrend in the after hours into this morning. You can see it was actually Friday into support, little pop, and then there was your uptrend start. Kind of an awkward one, but it did. BKKT. That did not start an uptrend today. HOT, is that it? I don't know what that is. ARQQ. ARQQ started an uptrend today. SMLR started, no, not an uptrend today. MARA started an uptrend today. What do you know? Again, so when you're doing the biggest gainers list, you're going to see these stocks performing well. But again, for stocks to have big gains, they just have to obviously have a big day, maybe some news. So it's like, if the stock isn't getting a big gain because of news, earnings, something of that nature, a lot of times it could simply be it's having a breakout or it's having an uptrend start. Hence, if the stock is uptrending and it's going to go up, then that's how you would get a gain to begin with, right? If the uptrend start is pretty successful on the day or whatnot, and you get a big gain, then you can be on the big gainers list. All right, so we got an uptrend start here. MARA obviously built off the back of Bitcoin going up. Duh. All right. AGIO, that is just now starting an uptrend. Well, not just now. It kind of started a little bit ago. Let's see. GGAL. GGAL started an uptrend a couple days ago. IONQ. That started an uptrend about 2 days ago. INOD. That is trying to start an uptrend, arguably. And again, I'm just doing a quick look at all these, so obviously some of the stuff is going to be wrong. MU, ironically, started an uptrend a couple days ago. So it's kind of funny that AMD and Nvidia have been lagging, but they allowed uptrends on TSM. And it's funny, the day that I'm looking for uptrends on AMD and Nvidia, they do a little pop and then drain it back out, and they let the longs work on TSM and MU. So that's kind of comical, but that's how it usually goes. CPRI started an uptrend today. We'll look at this one just because why not? So CPRI, you can see here, boom, boom, starting uptrend, 2177 today. Now on the biggest gainers list. Whoa, heck yeah, dude. Sick. So there it is, right there. So it started an uptrend in the after hours. We back tested and went below it. So this is a perfect example of what? Where a market starts an uptrend. So if you were long in the after hours or even long, you know, kind of like into pre-market today because you're like, oh, it's an uptrend start, right? It then goes down, breaks the 50 SMA, then gets bought back up. So if you had run a stop system on this here, so if you were like, hey, I'm long and then I'm going to stop, let's say you're long like a little higher than the breakout point because that's normally what happens, right? And you were going to stop out at the 50 SMA break, then you're red, right? You would be red and then stopped out, right? But if you had increased your stop to a more recent 30-minute low structure, which on this chart would have been down to like right here, okay, which would have been this low and what have you, your stop would be, I don't even know, where is it at? You'd be about a 5% stop from entry. So if you were entered where we're entered and whatnot, that would be about a 5% stop. So you just got about a 1-to-1 there. So, but again, like we said, the algorithms control the market, so they're probably at about a 1-to-2. They're at a 1.6 right now. So, well, it actually is a little higher because right there. So they're at a 1.64 if we use the most predominant low on that 30-minute scale as stop structure based off of where algorithm shift is at. So it's pretty, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but like I said, a lot of times those algorithms and those HFTs are going to want to get a 1-to-2. So they're able to get a 1-to-6 there, but they usually like their 1-to-2s minimum. If it's even a somewhat, successful long. So hopefully that all helps. Again, we could keep going down these lists here. There's actually not too many more, but let's just do it just for fun. It's not like I have anything else to do. I'm just watching Bitcoin go up and stacking, so that's good. And then we already went over the market, right? It's in the title of the video. Stock market's in a buying operation, mini pump, right? So if we look at the market, it's the same thing we're doing on all the equities, right? When did the market go into an uptrend? Can anybody tell me? Over the 50 SMA. When did that happen? This morning, pre-market. Here's your 50 SMA right there. Uptrend start. Boom. There you go. And then what's the target of the day? Generally, one of them. The gap target. SPX. SPY. 161. Doink doink. So, we don't really need to talk there. All right. So we went as low as CPRI. Where'd it go? Where'd did CPRI go? I don't even know. It was literally right there. That's weird. Don't know. All right, so we're going to go with SGRY here. Oh, SGRY started an uptrend day. What do you know? So this has been up. So like when I said earlier, I'm like, I don't really have a scanner for these things. It's like I do, but I don't, because these are the biggest gainers. But it's kind of like you also need a scanner that's letting you know when those are transitioning through their 50 SMA. So those may or may not populate the biggest gainers at that time. I don't really know. I haven't really checked all that much. So again, TGTX, that started an uptrend today. Hood, that started an uptrend a few days ago. APP, my PP. My PP. So this started an uptrend today. APP. Foot Locker, uptrend today. ANF, uptrend. When did that start? Was that today? Or it looks like a day ago. Looks like on Friday. Uptrend on Friday, ANF. MNPR. No. MSTR. That one started, we already covered this one. That one started an uptrend last week. So if you're on the stream last week, we let you know that MSTR started an uptrend here and then also had the back test of support here. So we did talk about the uptrend start in MSTR last week and then said if over the weekend, you know, whatever blows up, then it's going to go higher. And so that one's pretty much done for. KTOS started an uptrend today. MTCH started an uptrend today. FNGU, that started an uptrend a few days ago. BRZE, that started an uptrend today. TER, uptrend a few days ago. GRAL, uptrend a couple days ago. PLAY, trying to go, well, I wouldn't say trying, but it's actually on resistance right now. AMBA, that started an uptrend today. IRTC, that started an uptrend today. CON, that started an uptrend on Friday. Tesla was on here, but I know that didn't. BHVN, that is not. TWST, that's just started an uptrend. DNLI, that just started an uptrend. SDGR, that just started an uptrend. FLWY, that just started an uptrend today. So you guys can see that as I just went through all of those stocks on the biggest gainers, how many have started uptrends today? Probably 50% of them, right? But that makes sense that the stocks on the biggest gainers are those that are A, in uptrends, or B, started uptrends, because then obviously things should go up, which means gain. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, one thing you could do, like for example, let's say you went to the biggest gainers list consistently all day long, right? You could take a couple percent of your, you could take limited risk across all of those uptrend starts, right? So rather than betting just like one stock here, you could be like, you know what? I think this one may have started a little bit of an uptrend. Maybe it fails, maybe it does, and I'll put my stop in. I'm going to allocate 1% of my position on this trade, or 1% of my position, 1% of my account or something, right? And you're like, all right, we'll see if it works. Oh, there you go. Dave, that's on the biggest gainers, and that just started an uptrend. So, I'll take another percent. I'll put it here. Another percent, I'll put it here. And next thing you know, you might have 5 or 6, 7 different positions on a couple different stocks for the day because they're all starting uptrends, and some will perform better than others. Some may get 10%, 20%. One might get 2. One might fail, but you diversify your risk across multiple trades. So you define your risk, and then you diversify your risk, and then you also increase probability of win through the diversification of multiple uptrend starts. Some may gain big, some may gain less, and so on and so forth. So yeah, what we just, and now it's not that easy, but that's a pretty limited risk, smart approach to involving yourself across multiple markets without, blowing your lid or being, on tilt or panicking because you're like, oh my God, there's so much money. It's like, well, I mean, it's only, whatever, it's 1% of your count. You can't blow up that way. And then though this 1% may not make you a massive gain, what if, the 10 long positions you start because of uptrends all succeed? Then you're going to get a big gain, right? So it's kind of built off the back of how good your picks were and how well they all perform, as opposed to, do I have enough money on this one, and does this one go long enough to the point where I'm going to make enough, right? Or make a big win. It's, well, if all of my picks and everything kind of work well, then you can have a gain, all right? And if some do well, some don't, then, risk is spread, right? And then tomorrow, guess what? You can jump back in with all the new uptrend starts, right? Because every single day there's going to be a stock that starts an uptrend. It's just a matter of finding them, which I currently don't have the best scanning system for doing it. I would just normally watch some of my biggest major market cap players, but of course, that's kind of limiting. So if I ever build a really sick scanner for this that I think is great, which I'm kind of trying to, then I'll let you guys know. All right, Milan, have a good one, brother. You guys take care. Or you take care. I wouldn't really call you guys. All right, Bitcoin. Can we just go up to 135,000, 145,000? Because if not, then I do have to delete my Twitter, which I literally will delete my Twitter. I mean, that's not entirely true because, the targets were a little lower than that. But if I was being totally true and honest, then we would have to go to 135,000 to 145,000, or I do, in fact, have to delete the Twitter. Which would suck because I just paid for premium, even though it's not really doing anything. It's kind of funny. They say, premium, then you get more exposure, blah, 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 blah. It's like, nah, dude. I don't believe it. YouTube is looking pretty good at the current rate. Our growth is looking really good, so I appreciate you guys. I think by the end of the week, we're going to go from the 165k mark into the 164,000 mark, so moving in the right direction there. Hell yeah. Yep, we're at we're doing really good. I think about another week or so. About another week, maybe two, we should grow from the 165k to the 164k mark. So I'm liking that. Loving that. Bitcoin's looking pretty juicy here, folks. Pretty juicy. Actually, I'm just joking. It's a 1 minute chart. It's nothing. But anyways, now that you have some time to sit back, giggle, and laugh while this thing goes all the way to 145,000, let's take a look at the heat map. Heat map today, NVIDIA just basically not doing anybody any favors. What else do we have? Amazon, Jeff Bezos in the Christmas season, banking, doing really good. Doing so well that he might end up with a third wife. Alrighty, well, that wouldn't make sense. Maybe a new wife and then 2 divorced. That's how you know the man's doing really well. Alright, Tesla, she's cranking and banking. Again, Tesla owns a decent amount of Bitcoin. So not only is Tesla just crushing, and Elon's the boy, and Elon's in this, and he's in chilling, slobbing, hobbing, knobbing with the president now, but he also owns a bunch of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's doing well. So you're getting that kind of little factor in there too. And we did talk about Bitcoin continuing to go higher. There is going to be a short setup on Bitcoin. I just think it has to go a little higher here and continue forcing people up and creating a little bit more FOMO for the moment. PLAB. They're crucial for quantum computing as their advanced photomask technology enables the semiconductors and chips used in quantum processors. Let me read that again, because I will say my worst thing is reading and comprehension. It's terrible. My brain just, again, it moves so fast. That's also why I struggled in school with test taking, because I'd have to read questions like 4 times in a row and then be like, what did I just read? So that was why test taking was always really challenging. So I'm definitely a hands-on reverse engineering type learner, and I have to ask questions the way I like myself for me to really get things. Just a little backstory to me, but yeah, so they're crucial for the quantum computing as their advanced photomask technology enables semiconductors. So like right now when I read that, I'm like, that all sounds great, but if I'm really going to learn it, the first thing I'm going to go do is I'm going to go start asking questions. What is advanced photomask technology? And then I would say, why are they using it in semiconductor chips and all? And then I would just have to start going down that rabbit hole. And so that's the way that it would work for me. So I'm actually going to do that in the back end right now, and I'll learn something today. And I cannot get enough of ChatGPT. Like, this is exactly what I needed in my life, was an AI to teach me everything I want to know. Granted, I can't say that the answers are always going to be correct and perfect, but, you know, that's why you keep asking questions. So yeah, I'm going to do a little research on this plab. You know, if you tune back into, if you tune back in tomorrow or maybe next week, if you're tuning back in, re-ask me some questions on plab, and I'll probably have some deeper knowledge for you as well. But right now it would just be like base case, TA type stuff that I know. So let's take a look here. Blab. Phototronics, huh? Extended hours, regular trading hours. So this went through a buy move a couple days back. You can see here, I'll just map off the long move. And when I do this, I'll just map off kind of like the risk profile of it. So if you're going to be long here, this would have been your stop based off of chart structure, not trend. And then you got as high as here. So that would have been a 10 to about a 10 to 1 potential on. And when we say that, it's almost a lie, because the likelihood that you buy exactly at the SMA is incorrect. But it's best to run the risk to reward profile like that, because it's the uptrend start. So your risk will always be, increase the higher you buy into a move, and based off of where your entry is at from the uptrend start. Why is this being weird? I don't know why it's not letting me shift that way. There we go. That's just... Yeah, well, anyways, we're just going to do like that. So if you were an HFT or high frequency trader, then maybe you got a 10 to 1, but probably not. Still, probably like a 5 to 1, maybe a 6 to 1 there, potential. All right. So PLAB went through a little bit of a long move the other day. But, yeah, that's that. Let's throw on PLAB. I'm looking at the long-term distribution channel now. PLAB has been in a downtrend for the past year. Interesting. It just hit +3 daily, so I'm not surprised it got whacked. The 3-year is in an uptrend. 1-year week. 1-year week hit +3, so not surprised that it got whacked again. 10-year is in an uptrend. Huh. Yeah, I'll show you this real quick. So regarding this PLAB... Good afternoon, German. All right, so looking at... Oh, darn it. Come on. Ugh. PLAB. Yeah, looking at PLAB, you're in a 10-year uptrend, for that matter. Fair value over the past 10 years is going to be about 21 to 22. So based off the 10-year trend, a fair price to own it would be about 22. A good price to own it would be anything below 22 based off the 10-year trend. Now, does that continue to be the case? Who knows? Again, that's just what's been and what's current and what is. What's to become, we'll find out. But that's currently the way that kind of looks like on the 10-year scale. Again, if we look at the 1 year, we know we're in a downtrend, and we know the 1 year just went to pretty overbought here at 31. So we essentially went into a 30-minute uptrend and then somehow took the 30-minute short-term long trade all the way up to a weekly overbought level, which is up here at 31. So essentially just had a short-term long trade with earnings blow up into +3, statistically overbought. So then a statistical overbought sell top then just roasted the market. And then did what? Brought it all the way back down to where? The 50 SMA. And now we're kind of doing this chop. And so yeah, as far as the long term goes, looks pretty decent on the 10-year. The 1 year just went from overbought now back to fair value. Oh no, still a little overbought in the year. It's good stuff. Yeah, so again, as we were saying, you got the market doing its thing. The market is it's in an uptrend. It's in an uptrend. No surprise there. Alrighty, so with Bitcoin hasn't really had much of a pullback yet, so unfortunately, hate to be the guy to say it, but again, we're pretty much going to be doing a pullback here pretty soon is the way it's looking. So we're going to take, here's the most recent break on the 5 minutes, so I got here, and then we're going to go to here. Yep, probably. So I'm going to be looking at some 30 minutes, some 5-minute stuff, but yeah, probably looking for something like that. Maybe not right now, but yeah, I'm already looking at basically Bitcoin to start pulling back, maybe even to the 105,500. It's going to increase for every 30 minutes it goes by, but I'm thinking we might see a pullback down to there or something like that. That makes sense to me. Obviously, some pretty obvious stuff is we're most likely going to do. So we're already doing / have done some of the short term. So if I go to the 5 minute, there's that 5 minute pullback. Even if I did this one, if that get tested, that guy got tested. Even if I go to here, that guy got tested. But it also, let me just double check this. So if I go to here, then it's like, that one hasn't been tested. So let me be looking here in the 5 minute like a day. So it's good. Okay. Do. That's looking good. That's looking good. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. But either way, again, that's all just some short-term stuff. So, again, markets naturally go up, and they naturally come down. And they naturally go up, and they naturally come down. So, yeah, we're just going to watch Bitcoin go up to 145,000. Sounds good. Wait a second. Win a tick. Win a ticky. Win a little ticky. Or maybe, I guess I could keep it there. I mean, I know my stream could be I guess my stream could probably be a little, excuse me, a little boring at times. Because I used to. I mean, I guess I still talk a lot, but I'd say the smarter you get, maybe the less you talk, because there's only so much to really say. Something's either going up or it's going down. And since we know the market's in a buy signal, I mean, that's really all there is to say. Until it gets bearish, it's not bearish. Other than pullbacks to support, mind you. Okay, QMCO. Man, this thing is absolutely litty. Solo one. Yep, market analysis is always good. Really, the other thing too about the market analysis is really the trade suggestions. It's analysis slash, hopefully relatively strong enough forecasting for you as well. That's pretty much the objective of all of our streams these days is to give you foresight analysis. No hindsight, only foresight. That's really my main objective. Other than obviously the teaching aspect of what we're looking at. That's obviously hindsight kind of review, but generally speaking, the objective is to come to this stream or into our private stuff or even the Twitter and you objectively get foresight analysis. That's literally my whole goal with every time I'm posting or doing anything is to provide foresight analysis, which may not always be correct, but I would say many times is. So that's our objective is foresight, 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 and then some more foresight, and then targets. Because that was one thing I did notice. Well, for starting and all that stuff, it's very hard to be correct and then give foresight before things happen and then targets of where they can go to and then be correct on that. That's very challenging. And then I noticed that pretty much no one in the financial space does that from what I've noticed, or at least they don't share it if they do. So I figured that was a big kind of piece in the market that wasn't being delivered, and I try to deliver upon. I think I'm doing an okay job on that. Yes, you want to be reactionary to the chart, but also I think you got to kind of know where things may or may not go to. So, I just noticed that there's a lot of streams. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but that was pretty much every single, YouTube stream or video, especially when learning until now. I'm not able to find many that usually give clear-cut price target foresight analysis before it happens with ample time to get involved before it happens and then can tell me that. And that's kind of what I looked for and never found it. So objectively, that's the void I'm trying to fill. Which by any means is not easy. Yeah. Anyways, so like I said here, we got a couple levels mapped off for Bitcoin. Again, when I have these level mapped off, it just means they're prices that the market will retrace to. Will at some point or another, right? So we are mainly long. We're just long bias Bitcoin, and these are just micro trends that have yet to be tested that are likely to be tested. All right, I'm just gonna take some time and just kind of run through. I'm just gonna run through some of these biggest gainer lists and just kind of see if there's anything that might be worth being involved with. QMCO, BTDR. That would have been a good one today. But nope, too late. Hut. Too late. Which, at this time of day, you're probably not going to find a whole lot more. BKKTARQ2. I don't know how I feel about that one. Yeah, I've charted options many times. Yeah. Yep, I've charted those plenty of times. GGAL INOD. Yep. No, I mean I've looked at both. Yeah. Is this my chicken dinner? 37. I mean, I don't. Yeah, again, I don't use it like that. No, I don't. Again, your option contracts are, I mean, your options can't tell you. Again, stops and profits and all that's kind of funny in my opinion. If because again, your stop has nothing to do. Like your stop is like depending on what you're doing, it's all going to be different. So I wouldn't say that options. I could be wrong. Again, I don't personally look at options to determine a profit or a stop or anything like that because, again, also your option and the pricing of your option is simply how fast is your stock going up? Is your stock going up, right? And then how far does your stock go up to? Which the option, and that's not entirely correct. There's gamma and there's hedging and there's all these things that might give you an idea of where something can go. Absolutely. So there's some people that look at options like that. I don't personally. I don't chart them off to give me an idea as where something may go or may not go. That's not. It's not really kind of what I do myself. But a lot of people do like it. Looking at gamma and things like that to get an idea for where things can go. Generally, I just try to look at when does an uptrend start and then join in on that and so on and so forth. Wait a second. I don't know how I do. Not too shabby. I-N-Q. Oh no, that one already did that back then. Oh. makes sense. I'll take a look at SQ in a second here. Yeah, SQ, let's see. SQ is not in an uptrend, so wait till it goes into an uptrend, and then you can be optimistically more on the long side for at least a day or so, a couple days. Nothing really there. SMCI, what was that? Was that the one that got absolutely shit on? Yeah. Yeah, I remember this one. So this was that stock that mainstream media was hyping up. So pretty much, you know, this is what I've come to the conclusion on. Whatever stock the mainstream media tells you is the next best thing is not, and whatever they tell you isn't is. So, for example, for 10 years, they told us all Bitcoin is trash and is the worst. Simultaneously, they all told you to buy SMCI, and then they got caught with some sort of like accounting, you know, scam. So it's like, okay, so mainstream told you that, you know, this is the funny thing. This is what mainstream pumped, and they told you not to buy Bitcoin, right? So it's just, again, that dynamic of the financial markets. So SMCI, it is on the negative side of trend. So just no long, just down. All right. So you can see that too pretty clear here. Again, last uptrend start for SMCI was here, and we are now, and this is a downtrend. So down, up. Pretty straightforward there. I really don't pay attention to news. It's not that I shouldn't, or it's not that it doesn't help. I just really never pay attention to news. Mainly because there's just already so much to look at and so much to do that it's just kind of one of those side things. You know, simultaneously, I know that, yeah, I just don't really pay attention to news much. I mean, I do and I don't. Like, yes, do I pay attention to news? Yes. Is it the first thing in my mind for trading? Absolutely not. It's usually the last thing. And mainly that's just because for the things that I view and just the way that I watch the market. Now, some people live and die by news, thinking it's, you know, the be-all, end-all. For me, it's, does news move markets? Yes. Yes, news moves markets, but it's, you know, to me it's just a catalyst. It's just another reason to move the market, but it's not. The markets want to move. News just kind of helps do what we already wanted to do in the first place. You know, and the other thing too is when the market is in a long signal, right? So if the market is going through a buying operation, that means things are going to go up. When things go up, what's more likely to happen? Negative news or positive news? Positive news. So though I'm not looking at the news, in the back of my mind I go, market's in a buy signal, so we know that news is always circulating and revolving, so as opposed to me going and seeing what they're selling me, I just know it's already being sold, right? So it's like, market is positive, though I'm not reading the news, I can assume it's probably positive. Or since the market's going through a buying operation, it's not bearish. Therefore, the data that comes out probably going to be used in a bullish manner. Because if we're not bearish, then why would we use data as bearish? We'll probably use it as bullish. Not always the case, but that's the way I think things. So if you're in a bullish move, you're more likely to get positive news. If you're in a bearish move, you're more likely to see negative news, and or the data used positively or negatively as per the current long or sell that you're on. So yeah, I mean, third favorite, I don't know, standard deviation, anchor VWAPs, Fibonacci. I mean, they all have a place there. I mean, actually, it would be anchor VWAP. It would be SMA, literally simple moving average, anchor VWAP, and standard deviation channel. And you will notice that all of those have a specific approach in themselves. Standard deviation channel is a statistical average of volatility in value trend with overbought and oversold metrics based on statistically overbought and oversold metrics. So it's kind of a statistical outline, overbought, oversold, trend in fair value. So more or less like value trend, right? Then you have simple moving average, which is above, below, transition, positive, negative, bullish, bearish trend. All right. Then you have anchored volume weighted average price, which is specifically tracking volume in the market. Another way of saying it is I am tracking people's participation levels, aka knowing when and where they would be pissed off. As in, if someone bought this high, or it's just tracking the volume weighted average price, right? If I just, put a GPS on every single one of your guys' pockets watching the stream, I'd know exactly where all 25 of you are going, right? It's the same thing with volume weighted average prices to some degree. You're just tracking everyone that's already, so you're putting a GPS tracker on everyone from earlier in the day and then figuring out where they're at later. Hence, more or less where they would stop out, where they would be put on tilt. So supply, demand, max pain, interaction points via what's already taken place. So GPS tracking, up-down trend, value trend. And so knowing each distinctly what their job is why it works for me. Is I don't confuse them between each of those. Fibonacci sequence, right? Fibonacci sequences would be targeting, right? Levels of potential targeting, but has nothing to do with bullish bearish trend, right? You could have a pullback Fibonacci target while being in an uptrend, right? So Fibonacci is not there for me to dictate trend, right? It's there for me to dictate levels of interest in targetable areas, right? Volume would be our people interested, right? So I do think there's a big value in understanding why you are using the things you're using and when you should be using them or things like that. And that could be a challenge in itself to figure out. I don't have a favorite thing to contribute a reversal. I really don't. Because the reality is a reversal is a market going into an uptrend, right? That's it. If you're saying what's your favorite thing for an oversold bounce, it would be, there really isn't one. I don't really look. I just don't. There really isn't one. If you're gonna do an oversold, like if I was gonna do an oversold bounce, then yeah, it's just got to be oversold. So is intraday statistics oversold? Is RSI like what are the things that you could use for oversold? Statistics, momentum, and that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah, you could go back and look at a chart and say, like, well, there was support here. Yeah, but that previous support has nothing to do with if this is oversold right now, right? So the only thing you can do with overbought and oversold is use momentum, overbought, oversold metrics. That's really it. Or some sort of value proposition for overbought and oversold, which could be a statistical, outliers. So yeah, I don't really have a go-to for overbought, oversold because I just don't really look for that. I used to, and then I just kind of stopped. Well, I still look for overbought, generally on statistics, stuff like that. And I do look for oversold. A lot of times that will be statistics, but we only really get oversold very, yeah. I usually don't look for oversold. I usually look for overbought. Short tops with statistical probabilities, and or bearish tops for statistical probability. Microsoft actually is trying to press a little bit of a long here. Just an FYI. Again, see right here, you see the 50 SMA? Watch. So like right now, we have Microsoft flirting with the 50 SMA. So the past 2 days, look at this, ready? So the past day and a half, what happened? We went down. So you broke down the 50 SMA, and now we're breaking back over just slightly. Maybe not even truly slightly, but a little bit. So the red line is where we broke down the other day. So you can see here, ready? Try to hold support, broke down, below red, down, back test red yesterday, down, back test red maybe today or yesterday or whatever. Then up, and now we're flirting with getting over it, right? We'll see. And when I say flirting with getting over it, I mean, that's just it. It's like this is... you're just at the key level. So again, if we maintain over, the market might get a little love on Microsoft and go into a long press, right? Yeah, we got pretty close to that. Yeah, we go back up. Yeah, that makes sense. What about other players? Amazon, no. Meta would be the next one that probably jumps up to the 50 SMA and just does its jam. So you got, 50 SMA over under coming on Meta. Berkshire still in a downtrend. LLY, that one, was that today? LLY, I don't remember. Was that? I think that was. Yeah, so it looks like LLY, Lilly tried to go into an uptrend today and then just failed. I think we might have went over this one. I can't remember, though. But yeah, I mean, you can see here with Lilly, right? So it broke out and then went right back to bearish and then stop out, right? So if you go to a 30-minute scale here, this would have been that. So this would have been a long start here, and then risk would have been down to previous 30-minute low, and so that would have been that. And let's see, what did this one get? Did it even get a 1 to 2? It might have. Yep. So there was got a 2 to 1. Like I said, you don't run the market, HFTs do. So right here, high frequency trading machines got a 1 to 2 risk to reward on this move from the breakout and the most recent stop. All right, so if you're looking at the most recent 30-minute low structure prior to this long press over the 50, high frequency trading computers got a 1 to 2 risk to reward trade out of that before it fell apart, with the HFTs buying over the 50 SMA, which most people aren't going to get that entry, right? Even HFTs probably aren't, right? But again, from the 50 SMA start, that's the uptrend point. And the reason a lot of them move so quickly, like we're through it, the ones that work well move so quickly is because it's meant to work. And all the computers know that it's the uptrend start. So the ones that do work and are effective and get through the uptrends, they happen to move quickly. Why? Because, it's tons of computers are reading the market and going, what stocks are starting uptrends? Oh, this one's starting, okay, long, and then it blows up real quick. So in this scenario, you got a 1 to 2 risk to reward. So when you think in terms of like risk to reward, uptrend start, logical stop, that would be right there, a 1 to 2 off of an uptrend start. And then what happens? Right, so it gets 1 to 2 and then it falls apart. So a 1 to 2 risk reward is met, and then all of a sudden it pulls back and then it dips below its 50 SMA, and that's where the market goes bearish. Right? Now the market's going bearish and a bunch of people stop out, and now it would literally be vice versa on a short. So now if it's on a short, it would be the opposite. So now high frequency traders and trading machines going down, let's say if it was a short, it would flip and it would be like this. So now it would be a short trade. Risk to reward would be last sequence high here. And then you go for a 1 to 2 down. And we have just hit 1 to 3, 5. So they're going for about here. So that would arguably be the market is going for a move on this down to like 7, 7, 5, 6, 7 on E-Lily for a successful short 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio in that regard. Yeah, you might say it's previous high, but I mean, that is the last green structure there. So yeah, but anyways, good stuff. Yeah, what about TSM? TSM started long. TSM's probably already got a 1 to 2. I mean, if you look at where the break point was that today? I think it was today. Or was that? Oh, no, it was yesterday. Sorry. TSM broke out here, run the 30-minute structure low, which would be like this. So you got a long break over, stop previous low, targeting a 1 to 2. There's 1.75, and then here is about 1 to 2. That's exactly 1 to 2 right there. Ironically, you know, kind of a nice pullback there. So at this point today, HFT's long, TSM, blows up first day. This is a 1.7. So you almost got 1 to 2 risk to reward there. Big pullback, right? Ran it up to here. That's a 1 to 2, a little higher, another big pullback. So I would say effectively the 1 to 2 risk to reward setup trade for this uptrend start's been completed. Took about a day and a half, but it did. Now, can it keep blowing up and stay in an uptrend? Absolutely. But the current 1 to 2 risk to reward profile trade has already been completed on that uptrend today. Or well, over the past 2 days, but yeah, you get the point. Now, granted, like we said, you're not an HFT, so if you try to do these things, it's not going to work like that for you. I mean, you literally would be having to buy on this candle, and there's really no confirmation, you know, and that's literally the point. The point is for the market just to shift and go, right? So if you get in somewhere a little higher, you know, you might have to adjust your risk. You can always adjust the risk a little bit and so on and so forth. Because again, if your stop was like right here, it's like, oh, yeah, I just got a 1 to 4. You did. If you were going to stop there and the market, yeah, it would be a 1 to 4 for what you're willing to risk and what you ended up getting. So this is kind of just the generic outline, 1 to 2 from the shift point. From there, your entries are not going to be the same. You may adjust your stop according to what you want to try and do, etc., etc. Hey, Bitcoin to 107,666. Again, no fear. Sit back. Be a chill guy. Let it go to 145,000. And then when it goes up there, well, when we get there eventually, just hop back on stream. We'll tell you it's going to go down, and then it'll probably go down, and then we'll just watch the rest of Twitter panic. The absolute pumper mug. Yeah, I mean, obviously our targets on Bitcoin, I'll throw them back up there for you guys real quick. Standard dev channel. Wait, what's it going on here? What's it going on? What is it going on? Why is this not working? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Oh, there's something still. Oh, wait. Hold up. No wonder why. Like, I thought I took that off. Oh, shiny. Again, so real quick, if you guys can see here, we've broken through the daily +2. So that was kind of another big level to get through. Once we get through the daily +2, and obviously if the market doesn't do anything dumb and it stays above, then that pretty much activates the 117,000 distribution target there, right? If we go look at the weekly, we can see that the weekly is over the +1 now. This used to be like a +2, so The weekly next level up would be here at 115,000. So pretty much our next stretch we're looking for is like 115, 117. And that's always going to kind of change from day to day, with the ultimate target still being up to 130,000 to 145,000. So again, right now, this is pretty much what you're looking for overall. This is going to change, but that's currently it. In the more of the short-term perspective, you're pretty much looking for this. Here, and when I say short-term, it's not really short-term, but it's still kind of short-term. You'd be looking for that to, yeah, that. Where is my thing? Right here. That looks terrible, but maybe I should do this like I did before, the box. So we're gonna start the box here, and then we're gonna go like da to the da, and then we're gonna get ha, and then we're gonna da, yeah. So you're gonna do something like that. I know this is a great stream. I know. Where did that bullseye go? It's super far away. That's annoying. Anyways, we'll just add another one. So you're going to go here, and then we're going to take this puppy, and we're going to go right there. So arguably, that's our next sequence on the upside. And, you know, obviously there can be resistance found for other reasons. But as far as the statistical distribution, volatility channel, it would be 114 to 117,000 here. Nothing moves in a straight line. Do remember that. Boom, 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 boom. Again, we still haven't seen a euphoric market on Bitcoin. That's the other kind of crazy thing is the market on Bitcoin still isn't euphoric. I mean, it kind of is, but not really. It's starting to kind of get there, but it's not. I would say this is kind of where we're starting to get a little bit to the euphoria. But if anything, maybe it's just the start of euphoria, which then means we got to get really euphoric. But once we get up here to these targets, that's where it's truly become a euphoric market. And obviously, those usually don't last for too much longer. So we would like to see the market hit some real euphoria. Right now, it's not. Not true euphoria. We want to see real euphoria before we really think this move is done. And I just don't see it yet. I don't see that we've hit true euphoria by any means necessary. Maybe if we do go to... Never mind. Forget it. Not even worth it. Not Eben's visits. Let's see. 2 hours and 11 minutes. Yep. Anyways, I think that was a good stream. I think we pretty much covered everything you guys need to know. Told you the market was on the long side. Probably kept you guys out from trying to pick tops and short the market. And you've probably done okay since then. Let's just double check ski. If this stuff would just get off my chart ski. Yep, looks like the market stayed on the upside. Looks like our thumbnail accurately predicted the market. Looks like the title of our video told you exactly what was going on. Can't say the same for most, but that's alrighty. So yeah, again, market on the long side. Glad we kept you out of shorting tops and pretty much preventing you from losing money in that regard. And yeah, nothing else more to say. Market's in a buy signal. Has been since early this morning. So Catch you guys back tomorrow morning. Do appreciate it. Feel free to share the stream to anybody you care would like to know. And we'll catch you guys back on the next one. Take care.